Welcome all to this fifth video in the series of learning file handling in C. If you have not watched the first four videos, I will suggest you to watch those first before proceeding for this video for better understanding. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, click on the subscribe button below to get new videos on C every now and then. So in the last video, we were discussing this problem statement and we had designed one code for the same. So the problem statement was we had to create a record of employees in one company in terms of their name, age and experience, and we had divided the solution into two parts. Two steps were dedicated for screen programming and two steps were dealing with file handling. Now we will again go back to our original code blocks. Okay, in the previous video, we have already seen the code. Okay, so we will take a quick look at this code again. So in the main part, this is the declaration part where we have declared the variables that we wanted. Again, these two lines are there for creating the file. The name of the file is abc.txt. These three lines are dealing with, they are going to take a name from the user and it will be printed onto the file. Okay, these three lines will be taking age from the user and it will be printed onto the file. The next three lines will be taking experience from the user and again it will be printed onto the file. Line number 23 will close the file ABC for its writing mode, and line number 25 will again reopen that file abc.txt for reading mode. Okay, and 27 line number, it is going to scan or it is going to read the data out of the file and it is going to store the data inside one string which is named as all, and after that whatever data is there inside all, it will be printed as it is onto the screen. Okay, and lastly we are going to close our file which was open for reading mode so as to free out the buffers in the code, and end of the code. Okay, now ideally just observe how the execution will proceed before executing it actually. Okay, so the sequence of programming is just like this. First, the file should be created. Second, the user should be asked for the name. The name should be taken from the user. It should be stored inside the file. Again, age should be asked on the output screen. Age should be taken. It should be printed onto the file. Third, experience will be asked. It will be taken. It will be printed onto the file. The file should be closed. It will be again reopened, and whatever the data that is taken from the user, whole data should be shown onto the output screen as it is. Okay, so as you can observe, two things are happening simultaneously here: the file operations as well as the operations that are going to be done onto this output screen. Okay, so those both operations simultaneously we are going to observe while doing the execution of this code. Okay, and before going for execution, I want you to observe one thing very carefully. So as I had already told you, this is the folder in which I had created my project. I am opening that folder. You must observe the number of files and the names of files that are present already here. Okay, these are the regular files that are generally created when you create any project in code blocks. Okay, now again going back for the execution of this code, first we have to compile it. I am compiling my code. There is nothing to compile because I have already done it. There are no errors inside this code. Okay, as soon as I go on run for this code, as soon as I execute this code, observe what is happening. First of all, as expected, one output window is going to come in front of us and it is asking me for the name. But the most important thing that I want you to observe here is that the folder that I had shown you earlier, one file is added over here. Okay, as you can observe, a file named abc.txt you can see here, which was not present earlier. What it means is that this code has been executed already and it has created one file whose name is abc.txt. So you must now understand how the execution of file handling is taking place. Okay, now we will again come back to the output window. Okay, now this output window is asking me to enter the name. I am entering my name. Okay, and as soon as I press enter, it is again asking me for the age. Suppose I enter my age, and it is asking me for the experience. Okay, so suppose I have put experience as 6.5. Okay, it is going to it is expected in float value. Okay, as soon as I enter what expected value is, okay, so output you are getting is name is equal to Samir as I have put, age is equal to 29, and experience is equal to 6.5. It is the exact output that we were expecting. Remember here, the output was as soon as I have given these values, Samir 29 and 6.5, these values were written onto the file that I had created abc.txt, and these values are again read by this scanf, okay, the scanf that we had written, and again whole of that value is again printed onto the output screen. So I am getting the expected output that was expected out of this code. Okay, so this is the output that we are getting. Okay, now so the output, as the output is coming properly, we can tell that the file handling is working properly. But again, we want to cross verify whether it worked or not. So what I can do is we can go in the file handling folder, and the file that had created abc.txt. If I double click on that, you can observe as soon as it opens, we can cross verify whether the file was written with our data or not. And as you can see, whatever the data that had been written, that we wanted to write onto the file, is written as it is onto the file. So this confirms that the file handling is working. Using the file handling concept, we had executed this program. The proof is that the file is already here, and if I double click on that file, I can read the data that we wanted to write. Okay, but I want you to understand there is one slight problem here. Okay, I want you again recall the problem that for which we had designed this code, and I expect you to take one pause here in the video and think over the problem whether we have solved our given problem statement or not. Okay, so as I've told, the code is working properly. We are getting the output. Even though I have closed my output window, we can see that the data is still there inside that file. But whether it has solved our problem. Okay, so to give you a better clue, what I will do now is I will again execute this code. Okay, and then I think you will be able to understand what problem that we are having right now. Okay, so again it is asking me for the name. Now I am putting a different name, XYZ. I am putting enter. Again, suppose I am putting age as 30, and it is asking me for the experience. I have put it as 2, and as soon as I press enter, now observe the data that I have got: name XYZ, age 30, experience 2. Okay, again if I close the window, if I again go inside that file, and if I again click on that particular file abc.txt, now the data that is written onto the file is AB's name is XYZ, age 30, experience is 2. So what the problem is here, that is not solving our exact problem statement. Okay, so by now I think you must have got what the problem is here in this code. The problem is that this code is only storing the data of a single person. It is not creating the record, because whenever I enter the information of me at the first time, that information is erased as soon as I put the data of second user. Likewise, only the data of the last user will be stored inside the file. All the other data is getting erased. Do you know what it is, why it is happening? The reason lies in this line number 9. Okay, the problem here is that I am opening the file in writing mode. What I have already told you, you have to understand what is the meaning of W. This W, what it does is that if the file is not there, it will create it. This F open, it will create it. But if the file is already existing, this W always makes the writing right from the start. If there is any data previously, it will always delete that data first, and then it will start writing to that data. So the problem in this code is that we should not use W mode here. W mode will always remove the first previous data and again start writing it from the fresh. Okay, whereas we want to create our own record. So if we want to create our own record, what we will have to do here is that rather than opening that file for writing mode, what we have understood in the previous video is that we have to open it for appending mode. Okay, so if I open it for appending mode, for every execution the previous data will be preserved and next data will be added after that. Okay, so now we will check whether it is doing as it is expected. Okay, so again I am executing my code. I have made one change, so it is checking for whether there are any errors in my code. Okay, and as expected there are no errors, so I am going for execution. Now I am executing my data. Okay, again it will ask me for the name. Okay, I am putting my name first as I had done earlier. It is asking me for the age. I am putting my age. It is asking me for the experience. I am putting my experience. And the data, as you can observe here, the data that was previously there, it is also written and the data is also being shown onto the screen. Okay, so that was not happening before when we were using write mode. Okay, as soon as I changed it to appending mode, what it did was the data that was previously on there, previously data was xyz age 30 and experience 2, that data is written as this and new data is appended to that. Okay, so this is how now I can put as many employee data as I want. The previous data will not be destroyed, the new data will be starting to the new data will be added to the previous data and whole data will be stored onto the file. I can access the file anytime I want. Okay, so to confirm again, if I go here and if I double click on my file, okay, so as soon as that file will open, you can observe that the previous data, as we have seen in the output window as well, the previous data is not erased, the new data is appended after the previous data. So to solve a problem, you have to carefully put the modes that you want to use. If you want new data every time, you have to put a W, but because I want to append data every time, now I'm putting A to it. It will append the data every time. Okay, so in this way we have done file handling successfully. We are able to store our data permanently on the hard disk, that abc.txt file. It will be there as long as it is there on that particular folder. You can even transport that file to any other computer. You can use it. You can import that file to your code, whichever computer you are using. So this is the basic concept of file handling where the data is getting preserved. One more concept I want to add to this point is that we have taken whole of this data in line number 27 using fscanf. We have taken all data inside that all variable. Okay, but if you are using put w, get w, f put c or get f get c, in that case we have to know what is the end point of our file. Okay, so that concept is called as EOF or end of file. End of file is the last point in the file. So as to understand we have reached at the last point, that EOF is used so as to understand we have reached to the last point. Okay, so that is not necessary here. It will be necessary when there is any space. This problem of scanf, as you all know, is that when dealing with strings, the scanf cannot tolerate, the scanf cannot take blank spaces. Okay, so if there are any blank spaces, again you will have to check whether you have reached to end of file. Okay, so in that case I will have to use here while fscanf p percentages all is not equal to EOF. In that case it will check, it will scan until it reaches to end of file. Okay, so that is one small concept that is generally used but when there are no blank spaces you may not go for EOF. Okay, so this is all regarding file handling. We have seen all the basic concepts of file handling. Then even we have seen one program, how to use file handling in the code blocks. Okay, so if you have not watched my previous videos on C programming, you can go check in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to get new videos on C every now and then. And comment below if you have any suggestions on any other topics on C that we can make video on. Thank you.